What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here. We're live for the Sunday Sports Wars stream, and we are ready for week 3 of the NFL. It's been a little chaotic these first 2 weeks. We've already got quarterback changes in Carolina. We've already got teams that seem to be in full-blown panic mode at 0-2, and we got some good matchups on the line for today, but there's also a lot of other stuff going on. We got to talk about baseball as we're getting ready for the playoffs. You know, the last home stretch here for Major League Baseball, and Shohei Ohtani pulls off something that we've literally never seen before in Major League Baseball history, and he does it with one of the best offensive games we've ever seen in history. And also, we got to talk about the Caitlin Clark effect, because now that their 40-game regular season is over, they're headed towards the playoffs, which the Fever and Caitlin Clark are actually in. Angel Reese in the sky, nowhere to be seen. But now we have the totality of the Caitlin Clark effect of the WNBA season and how we can see it play out in both attendance, in viewership, and everything. And we recently got the MVP vote back as well, so we'll talk about that. And I'm sure a couple other things will come up. Beardo, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. USC lost yesterday to Michigan, but they played well. You know, Miller Moss had a few. He made a mistake. You know, big pick six that kept Michigan in that game. USC played a good second half, but you know, it was USC's kind of first Big Ten taste of the Big Ten. So listen. It's a loss is a loss, but they played well. So I think USC will still find their way into the playoff later on. But it is really? What it is.
Okay.
I think they will. I think the Trojans will find their way.
I think they'll find their way in.
It's 12 teams.
I know.
12 teams. So yeah, I think USC can find their way into the playoffs. But okay. It's a long season. So we'll see how it turns out. Did you see, speaking of Andy Dalton starting, did you see that the Panthers put out a hype video for Andy Dalton starting?
Really?
Oh, they should be excited. They should be excited that Andy Dalton's playing. You know,
honestly, I forgot he was still playing.
I mean, as former Chicago Bear Andy Dalton, I think, was there for like a while, maybe. He's been on a million teams, but to me, Andy Dalton gives them a much better chance to play well than Bryce Young does. I think it's the right move to bench Bryce Young now. Regardless of whether they ever plan on playing him again, I think it's the right move to bench Bryce Young. He looks overwhelmed. This is a brand new team in there in terms of the coaching staff, that they're not the ones that drafted Bryce Young. And I think, you know, we all act like it is the end of the world when things like this happen. And it is a big deal, you know, to have a guy be the starter for a whole year and then come in and get fucking benched. But at the same time, the NFL's littered with people who are playing well right now who have been benched before.
Right.
Even former Carolina Panthers like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, who right now are both leading 2-0 squads. Mm-hmm. You know, Baker Mayfield just got, you know, a big extension down in Tampa. And Sam Darnold didn't exactly probably expect that he was going to be the starter there. I think a lot of people felt J.J. McCarthy was going to be the guy in Minnesota, but Sam Darnold steps in and he's been playing really well for them. So ultimately, there is a point when you're just trying to let you're throwing a guy in the water and hope he doesn't drown. You got to throw the fucking life preserver out there and pull him back in, get him settled, and we'll see. I don't have a ton of faith that Bryce Young's ever going to be a guy in the NFL, but I think it's the right move for the Carolina Panthers to do what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Arch Manning first start yesterday against, you know, Monroe, but you know, he threw 2 touchdowns. He had quite a bit of passing yards. He had 2 interceptions, but blowout win against Monroe. He's probably going to start again next week before Steve Sarkisian is going to ultimately have to make a decision whether he's going to stick with Arch Manning or if they're going to put Quinn Ewers back in there against Oklahoma. That's in 2 weeks.
That's going to be a tough thing for them to do. You know, not because Quinn Ewers has played poorly or anything like that, but because you have Arch Manning in there. And if he's playing like shit, that's one thing. But if he's playing well and you have a Manning back there at quarterback, it's going to be a very difficult thing for a coach to do. And who knows, the Manning family, it doesn't seem like, but we've seen them very much get involved before with their players' lives. We saw what they did with Eli Manning, kind of force him out of San Diego 2 decades ago at this point. But it doesn't seem like anyone's really putting a ton of pressure on them to start Arch Manning or play Arch Manning before. But now that he's in there, do you kind of feel that pressure just because of that legacy. It would be tough to not feel it in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if he's playing well, which he has been.
Yeah, he's been playing good. So
the number one team in the country with a Manning starting at quarterback, and you might have to pull him out.
You got a quarterback controversy, and here's the thing. Here's the big thing. If he plays well next week, and then if they go to Oklahoma, well, it's a neutral site against Oklahoma. If they put Quinn Ewers in there, and then they lose, now what do you do? Because then you got Georgia the following week.
Yeah, because these two games that we've seen Arch Manning in, it's been against fucking Louisiana Monroe and
USTA,
Southeastern Texas Christian University, or whoever the fuck it was, right? In that game where he came in and subbed. So it's going to be a big decision for them to make. But
for sure,
we did have a Big 12 game that went late, went extra, went into overtime last night, and that was between Colorado and Baylor. And obviously, anytime we're talking about Colorado, it's going to get some attention just because it is Colorado. Everyone's going to pay close attention to what's going on there with Dion, with his kids, with Travis Hunter. And this game looked like it was over. And then a Hail Mary forces overtime between Colorado and Baylor. Obviously, I think we've seen a very famous Hail Mary from Colorado before with old Cordell Stewart back there, if I do remember. But this was that play. You can see there's 2 seconds left on the clock. Shedeur Sanders rolls out, going the wrong way, fires it down there, and just able to run under it for the touchdown to force overtime. It was close on that replay, looking at whether he had that ball fully in possession or not. Did the ground help at all? Some debate, but ultimately I don't think it was enough to actually overturn the touchdown call. And then they go in overtime and score, and Travis Hunter forces a fumble at the goal line to win the game. I will say, once again, I am so fucking sick and tired of people rushing the field for pedestrian wins like this. Baylor, this is not Baylor of 6 years ago or something. This is a Baylor that's expected to finish in the bottom third of the Big 12, and you rush the field. Obviously, crazy overtime victory, Hail Mary, awesome, but you're really rushing the field for this shit. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I watched the end of this game. It was absolutely ridiculous. Huge play by Travis Hunter, by the way. But when I seen them, and the play was still under fucking review, and then you got everybody storming the field. Shedeur Sanders literally led the charge, telling people to fucking storm the field against Baylor.
Really?
We had two. Yeah. Shedeur Sanders was like he was leading the charge, telling the fans in the student section to come onto the field. The play was still under review. You hear the guy in the intercom, please do not rush the field. The game wasn't over. Luckily for Colorado, it was the right call. He did lose possession literally a few inches before the plane.
It was a great play by fucking Travis Hunter. Obviously, Travis Hunter, a two-way player, one of the most talented players in the country. Just pop that ball out just at the right time. But I don't know, John, what do you think? Obviously, because of the Dion factor, people are going to pay a lot more attention to Colorado. This isn't a crazy quality win or anything. Two teams that are probably going to finish middle of the pack in the Big 12. But still, the Hail Mary, as time expires in regulation, it's a massive, big prime time type of win for them.
Yeah, I actually missed it. I was actually watching the Astros at the time. But man, that's crazy. I wouldn't get overconfident and hyped up over Colorado. Remember, they got off to a 3-1 start last year, right? And then they just completely fell apart.
4-8 or something, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So I think that schedule is getting tougher too, by the way, right? They may be better than last year, but Baylor, come on, really?
And then they're going to storm the field. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Well, they're now in, right? So Colorado is now in this kind of diluted Big 12, with all of their new additions that they have. So it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, where they stack up against all of these teams. Again, a different looking Big Ten this year, a different looking SEC, a different looking Big 12. When you have some of these new additions there to the roster. But as much as we criticize and have been very critical of Colorado,
that's a great play at the end.
Fucking great play and great win. A lot of conversation about the officiating. Nevertheless, they walk away with the win, with their fans rushing the fucking field after beating Baylor.
Yeah.
Here's that play. You can see Travis Hunter right here. Wanted to show this. Travis Hunter with this play to pop that ball out in overtime. Oh, man. Just got in there just at the right moment. But there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Some other, big matchups. We talked about USC and Michigan a little bit. You did have Tennessee take care of business against Oklahoma.
Yep.
So not a ton of big upsets. Missouri just barely escaped disaster against Vanderbilt with a missed field goal by them. I guess they could have used that female kicker, right? Down at Vanderbilt. But yeah, a lot of solid games. No big upsets or anything like that. At least like too much of note. My Purdue Boilermakers got the shit kicked out of them by Oregon State. Not much of a surprise. I don't know if Purdue's going to win another game all season until the old Oaken Bucket game. But next week is a big matchup, obviously. Alabama and Georgia. Maybe Jeremy will actually show up for that. Who fucking knows? But we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to talk, like I said, a little bit about baseball because Shohei Ohtani, I wish I could play some of the clips for you, but because MLB copyright is so heavily enforced, I can't. But Shohei Ohtani not being able to pitch this year, recovering from that injury. Normally, you see him, he's probably a top 5 offensive player, top 5 pitcher, which is just insane to begin with. But now this season, he's not having any of these additional...
Side note, they said they may use him in the bullpen in the playoffs.
That'd be insane.
That would be insane. And also...
That's a risk because he hadn't pitched all year.
It is potentially a little risky if they were to do that. It does give you some flexibility, I suppose, and maybe just the threat of that might make people think. I don't know if I'd do it if I were them, but it's the fucking playoffs.
This
Shohei
dude
Ohtani wants to win.
He's insanely great, man. He is just ridiculously good.
Well, he hasn't pitched all year because he's recovering from Tommy John.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to win the National League MVP by being a DH.
Yeah. Could be. And DHs don't normally win MVPs.
Nope. I mean, who's the last DH to win an MVP?
No, not my lifetime.
I don't think we've ever had one. I don't think we've ever had a full-time DH win MVP.
Nobody has.
Yeah. But that would be Shohei Ohtani this year, and it's tough to argue against it with what he's been doing. Shohei Ohtani, after the greatest game ever played, I'm glad the team won. And the team did win handily. It was a 20-4 blowout against Miami, and that may have been the reason why we got that last big home run from him against a position player. But nevertheless, Shohei Ohtani went into this game looking to potentially make history. We've seen a handful of 40-40 players in the history of the game. 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases in a given year. Doesn't happen very often because it's not too often we see guys with that type of power and that type of speed be able to put it all together. But Shohei has already had his 40-40 season. He was sitting there with, I think, 49 stolen bases and 48 home runs going into this game. And he puts on one of the best offensive performances we've ever seen. Certainly, we've seen a couple 4 home run games. By a couple, I mean over 10, 15, somewhere around that area. 4 home run games in history. But he had a 3 home run game where he had 6 total hits, 2 doubles, a single, 10 RBI, 4 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. One of the most impressive offensive performances in a single game in history. And he did it to get 50-50, ended up being 51-51 by the end of the game. But it's pretty phenomenal what we've witnessed him doing. And this is just him with solely an offensive year, just focusing on that, not taking a day off here or there because he's recovering from pitching the day before. But do not forget that when Shohei is healthy and pitching and not recovering from Tommy John surgery,
He's a great pitcher.
He's a top 5 pitcher in the fucking game as well. It's wild.
You know what's really crazy? When I was growing up, if you were a 30-30 guy, you were considered great. This dude's a 50-50 guy. That is just unreal right there.
Well, what's crazy?
The season's not over. I mean, there's still
there's still like
games left for the
8,
Dodgers.
10 games left, something like that.
You know?
Yep. They scored 20 freaking runs, and Shohei accounted for half of that.
10. That is nuts.
And it was interesting to see you could see some of the videos of the stands when like the home run ball went in and people just fighting each other and desperately like risking every injury possible to try to get their hands on that fucking ball. It would be we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we didn't also talk about what Shohei Ohtani headlines were like before this season started, embroiled in a massive controversy when his interpreter gets caught up in a massive gambling scandal. There were a lot of people wondering if Shohei had any possible connection to that. According to all the investigations, he did not. It's hard for some people to believe that he wouldn't at least know what his interpreter was doing, considering all the time they spent together. But it seems like that controversy has been forgotten on the heels of a fantastic season from Shohei. Obviously, didn't let that bother him at all. Do you guys think that if Shohei was an American-born player, that this would be receiving more attention? Because I feel like baseball isn't the same level where it was at 20 years ago in terms of the zeitgeist in general. But do you think that more people would be talking about this and what we're witnessing in baseball if Shohei was an American-born player as opposed to being Japanese and maybe not being, and I guess even if he was Japanese, maybe being more of a character as opposed to very stoic and very professional and stuff like that most of the time?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know. Now, I remember the massive hype for Yao Ming when he actually came here and played in NBA. He was a big time star. But basketball also was bigger than baseball. Mike Trout won those MVPs. Mike Trout, great player, didn't really move the needle. I mean, for one thing, his team sucked for the most part. The Dodgers are a very, very good team, and Shohei actually has a chance to actually do some damage in the playoffs.
But the level of talent for the Dodgers is stupid. They fucking they brought all these guys in. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think there's probably more hype because he's a foreign player. He's from Japan. Like whenever there's a stud coming out of Japan, the baseball world kind of goes crazy. I remember
Hideki Matsui,
Daisuke. Everybody loves those guys, and you can't forget about Ichiro.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit more hype in the baseball world when we see a very talented Japanese player coming over here to play in Major League Baseball. And Shohei is obviously the most talented one by far.
The difference is, man, Shohei hits home runs. Ichiro hits singles.
Right.
There's a massive difference, man. Remember the Braves back in the day, the chits hit the long ball? Yeah. People love home runs. And this guy is doing it all, man. He is doing it all.
Yeah, but again, like we're talking about a guy who's putting up numbers we haven't seen since literally fucking Babe Ruth.
And we didn't even see Babe Ruth.
Exactly. We didn't see Babe Ruth. And that was in a very different era of baseball. Okay. And he's legitimately doing those things now. With the level of talent that we see all around. It's quite frankly astounding. Like we are truly witnessing not just once in a generation, once in maybe history of baseball type of player with Shohei Ohtani. And that's what I mean by I just don't know if that gets the worldwide sports recognition that it should. And maybe it is because he's been on, Beardo's shitty Angels teams that haven't done shit in the fucking playoffs. Now that he has a chance with the Dodgers in the postseason, maybe people will be talking about that a little bit.
Yeah. And he's doing this coming off a bum elbow. That's even more crazy.
Yep. And especially like if what John said, if he's healthy enough to pitch in the playoffs and he's he's coming in as a reliever, if they're gonna use him as a closer, who fucking knows what they can do with Shohei?
But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't do it though.
It would be tough.
Time will tell.
On one hand, I would be like, man, I don't know if you want to risk him because you really want him back there next year pitching for you. But then you think about it, it's like, well, I guess if the worst that happens and he fucking busts it again, he can just be DH and be our MVP again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I got to say this, man. Teams better watch out for the Astros now. Kyle Tucker is back, and that dude has been on fire right now. He was 4 for 4 last night. And, boy, the Astros are really, really getting it together now. They're finally healthy. No faith in Justin Verlander, though, man. He has been struggling.
He's been rough.
But,
there's people arguing whether they should take him out.
I don't think man, it's going to be hard to say, man. But I guess I can put him on the playoff roster. But I ain't starting him.
Fucking too old, Justin Verlander.
Well, remember, he had that neck injury. And he really hadn't been the same since. But the Astros, they got the pitching, man. Those other guys are really, really good. And Kyle Tucker now being back, better watch out for the Stros, man.
There is another team that's making history, and that's the Chicago White Sox. I believe they're one loss away from tying the record for that. Was it like 61 or 62 Mets team for most losses in a Major League Baseball season? Yes. The White Sox are absolutely horrendous. I think they're sitting at 119 losses right now. They're going to pile a few more up. They're going to break that record. The 2024 Chicago White Sox are
they already have 119 losses.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so they are going to be the worst team in Major League Baseball history.
I was kind of hoping that the Angels would get 100 losses this season. Let me see where they're at. Angels are at 93 losses.
Yeah.
So
and they've been playing the Astros now. They absolutely stink. And Verlander gave up a whole bunch of runs, and the Astros still scored like 9 runs and won.
Let's hit a couple of these chats. Chris Coran, Ryan, I want you to know how much Beardo loves you. Thanks. Chris Coran for 2. He passed on going to the Denver game with me today. Oh, no.
Sorry,
said
Chris.
No to the Denver game because he had Sports Wars. I appreciate that. Respect.
Sorry, Chris. Next time.
Lance for 499. Worst one-sided officiated game I've seen in a long time. I don't know if you're talking about the Colorado game or if because you got the SC there if you're talking about the Michigan USC game. I saw some complaints about refereeing in the Colorado game. I didn't watch the entire thing. I watched kind of the fourth quarter and on, so I can't speak to the entirety of the game. But Mexican Iron Man, go Giants! Beat the Dallas Cowgirls.
That's Thursday
they don't
night.
Even play today.
They don't play today.
They play Thursday?
But
Thursday.
yeah, they play in a couple games. Okay. So we'll see how that goes. We will get to our NFL picks and predictions upcoming here. Did not go well for us last week. Last week was full of a lot of fucking upsets and crazy shit that happened. We did not have a good record. I don't know what the breakdown was between all of us, but I know one thing, it wasn't very good. There was a lot of upsets, and I think a lot of the injuries that ended up occurring in those games are going to have very long-lasting impact and impact on some of today's games. We got the San Francisco 49ers that are down their big 3.
I got that game right last week.
You did.
Yes, you did.
You did.
You did get that game right, and now, you got Ayuk and
Cowboys
Jennings
wrong.
You got Ayuk and Jennings and Mason. Like those are now the guys you got there for San Francisco. But we will get into that. We'll get into that. No worries. I did have to talk a little bit of Caitlin Clark because the WNBA season. The 2024 WNBA season has probably been the one that more people have paid attention to than any other season in history. This is a league that has lost money every single year of its existence. And for all we know, it likely will continue to lose money this year just because the deficit that it's in. But there's no doubt that one player had a significant impact this year in the WNBA, and that is Caitlin Clark. As much as the media continue to try to put her down and lift up all these other rookies the entire year, even down to the very end, there's no doubt that Caitlin Clark herself, she has been the one that has really changed this entire thing for the WNBA. And getting past all the controversy, all the bullshit that we've talked about throughout this entire year, we now have the facts. We now have the numbers when it comes to viewership, when it comes to attendance, and the proof that this is Caitlin Clark's league. Final WNBA season regular season viewership, all rated networks. Caitlin Clark games average 1.178 million. All other games average under 400,000. That's an increase of nearly 200% for Caitlin Clark games. Yeah. What about attendance? WNBA attendance this season. Average Fever games, 16,000 attendance. Average non-Fever games, 8,500. That's nearly an 88% increase. That's Caitlin Mania. And here's the breakdown.
She's getting NBA attendance when she actually plays. That's crazy.
So, and like for the record, the Indiana Fever had higher average attendance than the Indiana Pacers did this season. And It's not like the Pacers had a bad year or anything like that. But the Indiana Fever average higher attendance than the Pacers did. That's saying something. That's very significant. And you look at the difference in some of these teams. Now, a lot of these teams don't even play in big stadiums. They play in like smaller stadiums because no one fucking comes to the games. But when Caitlin Clark came into town, well, hey, let's see if we can play at the Hawks place. Hey, let's go see if we can play at the Wizards place because there's such a big demand for tickets. It is pretty astounding. And now we have the final MVP voting, despite the fact that everyone said she shouldn't even be in the conversation, and she shouldn't have won. Caitlin Clark shouldn't have won the MVP, but she did finish 4th in MVP voting, the highest for a rookie that we've seen in like a decade in the WNBA. She has changed the game. And the most insane part is still that so many people, so many players currently in the WNBA, so many commentators, so many former players in the WNBA, they despise the fact that Caitlin Clark is the one to do this. She's the one that's getting all the attention. Maybe they're mad that players like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi, maybe they're upset that they didn't get these numbers, this much interest, but those are just the facts. Those are just reality. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the WNBA right now, and she is the MVP.
Unanimous MVP.
And she should be. Like, she's leading the league in points by a big margin. She's second in rebounding to only fucking useless-ass Angel Reese, right? She had an incredible season. She should be the MVP on one of the better teams in the WNBA. But when it comes to attention and who people care about and who people are excited to see, and also putting up incredible numbers, is Caitlin Clark. It's a no-brainer. That's why people are paying attention.
Yeah, this is this is a big deal, man. I mean, Caitlin Clark, number 4. A'ja Wilson, honestly, I didn't know how to pronounce her name because I didn't know her. Nobody cared about A'ja Wilson, even though we know now she's a great, great player. The league is Caitlin Clark still. These players better get on board quickly and stop all the bitching and complaining. This is Caitlin Clark's league. She's the one that's going to get them paid.
Most, even pretty hardcore sports fans, most of them probably couldn't have named more than 2 or 3 WNBA teams before this season. That's just the truth. Now you actually have people that are paying attention to it. And I think that it's done a couple things. One, obviously, it's got the WNBA a lot more attention. It's also exposed some things about the WNBA in terms of the play and the quality of play, the quality of officiating. It's exposed some things that they have a massive room to improve. It's not fucking good. On a lot of nights, it is not good. It's not a good product. That's one of the reasons why no one has fucking watched it in years. But this is nothing but a huge positive for them in terms of the potential for growth.
Yeah.
And it is strictly Caitlin Clark. It's not about the rookie class. It's about Caitlin Clark. It always was, and it will continue to be. How long will this last? That remains to be seen. But with a rookie season like that, leading the league in assists, breaking the single season assist record, putting up 19 points a game, finishing 4th in MVP voting, and most importantly, taking the worst team in the league last year and getting them to the playoffs. Whereas a team like the Chicago Sky, they got worse this year with your girl, Angel Reese. So Caitlin Clark made everyone better around her. And at the end of the day, they are in the playoffs, and nobody wants to play the Indiana Fever right now. That's for sure.
The best thing to happen, Caitlin Clark did not play in the Olympics. She got rested up, and then she was just on fire after that. That's the reason why they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did see this. Mike Hill, Clark draft rookie card broke auction record at $84,000. Yes, and $84,000 for a Caitlin Clark rookie card sold. It's actually more than Caitlin Clark made this year in the WNBA. She made like around $75K this year. And does Caitlin Clark herself deserve more money based on the attention? Yeah, sure. But the reality is when you look at the WNBA players, they're not underpaid. They have been overpaid for the entirety of the WNBA's existence because the WNBA has lost money every single year. They should be paying the WNBA for the privilege to play in this handicapped league because that's what it has been. It has been a virtue signal from the NBA. It's lost over $10 million basically each and every year since its existence. This might be something that changes that. More people are watching, more people are going, more people are paying attention, more people are buying merch. And maybe they're on their way to profitability. And once that happens, maybe the contracts will get increased because if a league's making money, of course, the players are going to get paid more.
Yep.
We'll see. Do y'all think the Yanks will make it to the World Series? Says Titty Smacker.
Nope.
I do.
Nope.
You're just saying that because you don't want the Astros to get their beardo.
Well, no, I think the Yankees are the most talented team in the American League.
They still need to prove they can beat the Astros, man. Until I see that, I mean, the Astros have dominated the Yankees for the past 7 years. They got to prove it. Yeah, they definitely got a shot. I believe they definitely do have a shot. But the Astros are healthy now.
The Yankees have been a little streaky this year, but I do think that they are. I agree with Beard. I think they're like the most talented team right now. They got all the players, but this group, they need to prove they can do in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the Astros have a lot of guys on that team who have been there, who have done that. So that is a big deal when you get into the playoffs. But as we've seen so often, when it does come to Major League Baseball, doesn't really matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if you got more wins than anybody else. It matters how you get in and how you're playing when you get in. And sometimes, especially recently, we've seen these wild card teams that have had to fight and claw their way even to get in, make sure they secure their spot. And they're kind of clicking on all cylinders. They've been in win now mode for a long time, and they end up, getting the right rotation together and just going on a streak. Yeah. And the it feels like the Astros have had to play that way, down this stretch. So maybe that is that team that kind of has, and they still haven't locked up their division yet, to be clear. I think they will, obviously.
They will. We're 5 games up with
you're 5 games up. So
10 games to go or something.
It would be a collapse if you didn't, but still you haven't wrapped up the division quite yet.
You remember 2022, nobody saw the Phillies even probably making the playoffs. They got to the World Series. They lost.
Well, even just last year with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The Nationals a few years ago, they were one of the teams that got in on a wild card and went on to win it all. So it can happen.
But the Astros pitching, man, Framber Valdez, lights out right now. Ronel Blanco, lights out. The Japanese pitcher that they got right now, he's been lights out since they got him. That is 3 pitchers that are shutting down everybody right now.
I did see what's his nuts for the Rangers. Scherzer out for the year. He's done with that leg injury. So, even though
but the Rangers are eliminated now.
Yeah, exactly. But because the Rangers did go on obviously that big run last year. Scherzer's been injured virtually all year this year, and they're finally shutting him down now that they're done.
His career is about over with.
He's old. He's up there. He's like 40, right?
He's getting there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's 40 yet, but he's probably close.
Something like that. Anyway, let's catch up with some of these. Happy 3 years Sports Wars, says Lulu, for 36 months. Thank you, Lulu.
Shout out.
Appreciate you being here. Econ Ease for 5. Oh, I know the meltdown videos are prepared. Should Caitlin Clark and the Fever win it all? They're playing well, and they're playing, and I don't think people want to play them, especially with how rabid the fan base is. And how Caitlin Clark mania, how crazy it is. I don't think anyone wants to play them, but I wouldn't put them as like favorites to win or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm sure the Connecticut Sun don't want to play them. I know that's the case.
How does the WNBA playoffs work? Is it like best of 3?
I think so. And they start today. And there's
Oh,
some,
they do?
there's
Okay.
people like, I can't believe you're going up against the NFL. It's like, but it's not like, it's not the only fucking time they're playing. Yeah. Let's see. Stephen Brown, did Caitlin Clark win Rookie of the Year? I mean, she certainly did. I don't know if we've got that official announcement.
I don't think it's
yet or
been
not.
announced.
They just announced MVP this morning. I don't know if I can't say I'm the biggest WNBA fan, so I don't know how they usually dole them out. But I would imagine we'll get the rest of them announced today at some point.
It's kind of funny though that ESPN a month ago was really trying to push Angel Reese to be Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, they were. Someone gave Angel Reese a 4th place MVP vote.
That's wild.
Person.
That's dumb.
Absolutely clueless. It's really funny because now the Chicago Sky players who didn't make the playoffs, who were worse than they were last year, while the Indiana Fever are way better than they were last year. Chicago Sky players are like melting down because of mean things that are being said to them by their own fans, apparently. And it's just so funny because all of the push has been about toxic Caitlin Clark racists and toxic Caitlin Clark fans. And now the Chicago Sky are like blaming their own fan base for the criticism that they've been under. And it's some of these women are not ready for this shit. Some of these fucking women in the WNBA, they're used to no one paying attention to them. And now all of a sudden you have a big influx of people that care and are watching the WNBA. And they're not ready for the spotlight. They just aren't. They can't fucking handle it. They're melting down, crying on the podium about people like criticizing their play and shit. Welcome to professional sports.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Beardo just tagged you in a post. Watch 83.
Yeah, I just seen it. An egregious holding on Michigan on that final touchdown in yesterday's game. It is what it is. Literally, you could call holding if you wanted to on every single fucking play in a football game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends if the fucking ref's looking there or not and he sees it. But dude, I mean, USC got lucky that fumble that happened close to your own goal line that the Michigan defensive lineman picked up and fucking started trucking the other way that then gets ripped away and you guys got the ball back. You lucked out there a little bit.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was a solid game. And that run from what Michigan's own 30 or 40 that really got them into scoring position. That was a fucking great run too. Cam Ward for Heisman. Who's going to win the Heisman this year?
Oh, man. Right now, after 4 games, I don't know. Travis Hunter's got to be one of the favorites.
It's tough because Colorado is going to be a 500 team.
Right.
And I think it's going to be tough for some people to justify, not that it's like impossible or improbable, but your numbers really have to be fucking insane because if you're like, but we don't often see players on 500 or below teams even get any consideration for the Heisman. That's just kind of the way it works.
Right. Yeah.
Let's look up Heisman odds right now. Right now, Cam Ward from Miami is considered the best odds to win the Heisman. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, Jalen Milroe, Alabama, Dylan Gabriel, Oregon, Quinn Ewers still at plus 1,400 for Texas, even though he's not playing, which is interesting. Mick Walsh for 2. Padres to win the National League. Machado and Tatis on fire. They are. They can keep both those guys healthy. Padres are not a team anybody wants to play either.
And Mick, that's his team too. So.
Portland getting another WNBA franchise after the original one. The Portland Fire lasted just 2 years and folded more than 20 years ago. Oof. Yeah, it does look like the WNBA is expanding to 11 teams or something. Or
they should have went to Houston instead of Portland.
Teams. Yeah. I mean, Houston had a WNBA franchise for a while.
They won the first 4 titles in Houston.
Yep. Cynthia Cooper.
Yeah.
Old Cheryl Swoops, fucking old hag Cheryl Swoops.
I was talking about this the other day, Ryan and Beardo. The Houston Comet players, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, Cheryl Swoops, guess what they want the Rockets to do? They want the Rockets to retire their numbers.
No way.
Last time I checked, they didn't play for the Rockets. Now, granted, Leslie Alexander owned the Rockets and the Comets. And they got one number retired up there. That's Kim Perrott. She died from cancer during their final year. That's why her number is actually up there. Leslie Alexander doesn't own the Comets. He doesn't own the Rockets anymore. But why should the Rockets actually have to do that?
That's retarded.
They shouldn't have nothing
sense.
to do with it. Yeah, they have nothing to do with it. And Cheryl Swoops has made it like completely embarrassed herself over this entire Caitlin Clark situation. Like being asked if, hey, do you think like she's like Caitlin Clark hasn't been dominant or anything like that? It's like, well, you wouldn't consider those numbers dominant. She's like, no, of course not. It's like, well, those are actually better than your MVP numbers, Cheryl Swoops. Wouldn't you consider yourself dominant? She's like, well, I wouldn't consider myself dominant, even my MVP. She's like trying to negate her own legacy in an effort to tear down Caitlin Clark. It's fucking insane to witness. Wokeness will break people.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with
Cheryl Swoops was a great player. She doesn't need to be jealous at all.
It's like, it's hard to fucking not feel that it's like racially motivated in some way by Cheryl Swoops. Like that is the vibe that comes off from it. It's
well,
very
if you remember when the WNBA started, Cheryl Swoops was all the hype. She didn't even play that first year on the Comets championship team because she was pregnant.
Yeah, that's right.
And they still won.
Yeah. Cynthia Cooper was the first couple MVPs
dominant
of the WNBA. I remember those days, dude, because
she won 3 MVPs.
Like fucking late 90s, early 2000s. Dude, I mean, when it comes to the WNBA and as much coverage as it got, I was reading Sports Illustrated every fucking issue. And they were getting covered. They were pimping the Houston Comets hard during that time. Very hard. And that's coming off the Rockets couple championships that they had, and then Houston comes in with the WNBA team, has a couple championships and stuff. So yeah, they were being talked about a ton. At least for then, they were.
Yeah.
We do have this super chat that just came in. Chris Pruitt for 5. I know innocent until proven guilty, but which athletes do you think are most scared, excluding LBJ, with this whole Diddy situation? I have no idea where this is going to go. I think that this entire Diddy situation is going to shake up the entertainment industry as a whole, mostly in the music industry, but kind of everywhere. And, you know, LeBron James, I guess I think I actually have.
LeBron is catching heat because he's been at these Diddy parties and he said, there ain't nothing like a Diddy party.
Yeah, and that is coming up big time for LeBron James right now.
Well,
this is the clip of him on Instagram Live with Diddy, and now we're hearing going on at these Diddy parties. It's interesting to hear LeBron say this.
Oh, hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so
yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
And LeBron very buddy with Diddy. Up until I think we got that video released several months back. Then he unfollowed him on Instagram, all that stuff. And LeBron is catching a ton of heat right now over this. And partially because LeBron James is the one who has said so many times over the past several years, you know, you have to speak out about stuff when you see it. You have to speak up. You have to speak out. That's what I do. That's why I speak out about all this social justice bullshit, whatever. I'm not going to sit there and say that, well, LeBron James had to have known everything, because I quite frankly don't know. I think a lot of people knew a lot about what was going on and never spoke out. Or maybe people had some idea or inkling or rumor or something they'd heard, knew something was fucked up, but didn't want to say anything. But when that's your motto, LeBron, when you're a guy who's out there claiming that everybody, they have to have the courage to speak out about these important issues, yet you remain silent on shit like this, that's why you're catching so much heat right now. Go ahead, Beardo.
No, I mean, our buddy Jay, you know, when LeBron was down there in Miami with Dwayne Wade, Jay lived down there during the time, and he said that the talk of the town was A lot of shady stuff between Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and them hanging out. A lot of weird stories and rumors about LeBron James and Dwayne Wade down there in Miami.
Yeah. And so like I'm not gonna use that line that we have from LeBron to definitively say, oh, LeBron knew exactly what was going on. But it certainly raises some questions. Yeah. And this is not going to be just a LeBron James thing. This is an entire entertainment industry wide thing. I think Usher just deleted his entire history on Twitter recently.
Oh, really?
There's going to be a lot of people that are running away from this because it does sound, obviously, let's see how it all plays out in court. But right now, with everything we've heard and everything we've seen and all the people that are now trying to distance themselves from Diddy, it sounds like it's more fucked up than we could possibly imagine. And a lot of people are tangled up in this, and potentially a lot of careers could be destroyed. And a lot of people right now are calling out LeBron James for his friendship with Diddy and him specifically promoting these parties, which we now know are pretty fucking disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've all heard of the Epstein list. The Diddy list is probably going to be coming.
Yeah.
Trust me, I believe Diddy, if he knows that he's going down, he's going to drop some names.
I mean, I would imagine he's probably a little scared of getting killed right now.
Well, he's on suicide watch right now.
Well, he ain't on suicide watch. He's on murder watch. That's what it really is.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, let's be real. He's on murder watch. They're scared somebody's going to kill him. Like they should be probably with all the stuff that might continue to come out in this trial.
Epstein style, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the type of watch that he's on.
Yep.
Yeah. I do see similarities between this and Epstein for sure.
All right. Let's see. Ozymandias. Rumor is John was at some Diddy parties. Is that true, John? Were you ever at a Diddy party?
Man, I'm so poor, man. I can't go to a Diddy party, man.
Too old for that shit. Not enough baby oil there for John. Taker 610 for 5. I don't know what they want from me. It's like the more sex trafficking we do, the more problems we see. It's weird, right? Totally random. Leonard Fournette was at 1-2. And I'm not going to, again, like I fucking hate LeBron James more than almost anybody else in the world. I think if you've watched this channel for long enough, you probably understand that. At the same time, I'm not going to assume that just because maybe somebody attended one of these parties a few times or whatever, that they knew the scope and scale of everything that was going on there. I think a lot of people probably knew, or a lot of people had a gut feeling, but that's not necessarily the same as knowing. So just because somebody was at a fucking party that Diddy threw one, of which there could be a fucking million parties happening. Who knows if this kind of stuff was going down at all of them or not. I kind of doubt it was all of them, but a lot of people are now being asked questions about this.
And it's a lot like, those, like with the Epstein list and the leaked Epstein list, where you see people who have gone once. A lot of these celebrities or athletes who get invited and who go once, they don't know what the fuck they're getting into. They don't know what's going on, and then they go like to a Diddy party once. They think, "Oh, cool, I'm going to P Diddy's party." I never would have thought I'd be in this situation to get invited to one of these parties, and they go once and they see what fucking goes on, and then they never go again.
But I will say this: it definitely sounds like LeBron has been to more than one.
Oh, for sure.
Based on what he said.
Yeah.
I will also say this. Kind of in defense of LeBron, but slamming him. LeBron James is also a notorious embellisher and liar about fucking
that's
everything.
True.
So it would
that's
not
true.
surprise me if LeBron had no idea about this stuff, but wanted to pretend like he was cool and part of the club and was like, everybody knows ain't no party like a Diddy party, man. Like LeBron consistently tries to make himself think, or make everyone think that he's all in on all this shit. Do you know? So it is what it is. But with that being said, we do got to move on to our picks, because it is week 3 of the NFL. And before we do that, if you yourself want to get in on some picking action, we would highly recommend Sports Picks. We've talked about in the past couple of weeks, or Prize Picks, not Sports Picks, Prize Picks. Big shout out to those guys at Prize Picks, the biggest daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million daily users. They do have a promotion going on right now. All you do is you go there, you look at players. whether they're going to do more or less than their projection. Sometimes they got great deals going on. You pick your lineup, you submit it, and you win actual real money as long as you actually win. But they do have a promotion going on all through September, and it's a good thing this promotion's going on. Otherwise, you might not actually be hitting on these picks. Caleb Williams, as long as he passes for a yard, ladies and gentlemen, you will hit on the Caleb Williams pick when you're building your lineups. I got to say, Greg Zuerlein, you cost me. You cost me the other night, buddy. I had a big lineup picked up, and the only thing that screwed me was Greg Zuerlein missing that 30-yard field goal. But regardless, if you're interested in getting in on some of that action and maybe making the games a little bit more entertaining, go to PrizePicks, download the app, or use their website. Use code GG, and you will get $50 instantly when you play 5. Again, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it again today. But go check out PrizePicks. We really appreciate those guys reaching out to us over here at Sports Wars. But
shout out.
That being said, let's get into our NFL picks. We do have an update, though, because Jose Contreras is keeping track of all of our Sunday picks this year. All right. All of our Sunday picks. So we're going to know how all of us did by the end of the season. Ryan for week 2, 7-7. John, 5-9. Beardo, 5-9. Jeremy, 5-4. Jeremy came in late and missed a lot of those big upset games, just for the record.
I'm not surprised I'm 5-9 because me and Rose used to do pits. And I would actually take more risks because there's always going to be some surprise.
Where are we? Yes, but overall, here's the way we stand through 2 weeks. I'm at 18-9. John is at 16-11. Beardo is at 13-14. So there you have it. And we'll keep you guys updated on those standings as we go the entire time. But hopefully we do a little bit better this week. But there's a lot of mysteries now. After the fucking chaos we saw last week, it's kind of hard to judge what we think for some of these games. But let me move the screen over here and we'll get into it. Here we go. First one right off the bat. Beardo, this is your game right here. Daniel Jones and the Giants trying to get their first win of this season against the Cleveland Browns at home. Cleveland Browns favored by almost a touchdown today. What do you think about this game, Beardo?
We picked up a kicker, so making field goals and extra points shouldn't be a problem, hopefully. I'm not at all impressed with this Browns team, and I'm not at all impressed with this Giants team. I think that the Giants cover that 6.5 point spread, but I'm going to pick the Browns to win. Fuck. I'm picking the Giants. The Giants are going to go into Cleveland, and the Giants are going to cover, and they're going to win.
Man, I hope you're right, man. Because fuck Deshaun Watson, man. That fucking scumbag. Giants stink, though. But I'm doing it, man. The Giants.
Let's go.
Oh, all right. I'm picking the Browns. I'm rolling with the Browns in this one.
No
Beardo
confidence.
consistently picking the Giants is why he's under 500 on the season so far. And that's where I got a couple of my wins picked up there. So I'm going to continue the trend. I will bet
I'm probably
against
going to
the
be wrong.
Giants. I'm going for the Browns. Browns at home, just in general, like no like memeing aside. I think that the Browns at home, I just think they're going to beat the Giants. I don't know about that spread. I think maybe the Giants, maybe they'll cover that spread. But in terms of the game itself, got to pick the Browns.
Okay.
Packers and Titans, fucking weird game. Malik Willis will be starting. Jordan Love not ready. So revenge game for Malik Willis at Tennessee. Will Levis. The Titans should have won the past 2 games. And without 2 insane, seemingly once in a career stupid mistakes from Will Levis that happened in back-to-back games, the Titans could be 2-0 right now. I'm taking the Titans in this game. The Packers did surprise us all by winning that game last week with Malik Willis. Not the way they did it. Malik Willis, they fucking ran the ball almost every play, as you would expect. But I just think with another week of seeing what Malik Willis is doing, despite that motivation to come back against his former team, I think the Titans don't make one horrific mistake to throw the game away, and I think the Titans win at home.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
There's some film on Malik Willis now. Hopefully, Will Levis tightens up some of those mistakes. I like the Titans at home.
Yeah, I like the Titans also in this one here. If Jordan Love was actually playing, I probably would pick the Packers, but I'm rolling with the Titans.
Yeah, I would if
Agreed.
If Jordan Love was playing, I would pick them as well. And yeah, the film on Malik Willis is, hey, they're gonna fucking hand the ball off almost every play.
Yep.
That's the film that you need to know from Malik Willis. But we'll see. Maybe Malik Willis does pull it off and he goes 2-0. And that would be a big win against his former team as well.
Right.
He got ran out of town. Will Levis took his place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Malik Willis was supposed to be the next guy there for the Titans. That didn't happen. Bears versus the Colts. Now, for me, obviously, it was a tale of two halves last week for the Bears and the Texans. I thought Caleb Williams looked really fucking solid in that first half. And then in that second half, I think he got a little impatient. Obviously was not getting a lot of time to throw the ball. But then once he did get out and saw a chance to take a big play, really bad pass from him into that triple coverage. The Colts defense, I think, is going to give Caleb Williams problems again. And although I do like the Bears defense, I think that Anthony Richardson being able to make a couple plays and extend a couple plays might be a problem for them to keep those guys covered back there. And I think the Colts are going to win it at home. I think it is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. I don't think you're going to see some as many explosive plays from the Colts as we saw maybe that first week against the Texans. But I got to pick the Colts at home, but I'm going to be rooting so fucking hard for Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts as well. I believe that this spread, the line was set at -1.5 for the Colts just this morning. So that went up another point in just the past couple of hours. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm still taking the Colts at home.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts also as well. And they're gonna cover that.
Yeah, like I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think that what we've seen from the Bears defense so far, obviously against Will Levis, not that impressive what they did, necessarily just in a vacuum. But obviously, I think what they did against CJ Stroud last week, very fucking impressive, and especially in that second half, because that Texans team is loaded with talent. Right. And the Bears really contained them, especially in that second half. So I think they're going to give Anthony Richardson problems. I just think that Anthony Richardson's ability to extend a couple plays is going to make the difference in this game. But I still expect an impressive performance from the Bears that keeps them in it. We'll see what happens, but I am picking the Colts. Texans versus the Vikings. This is a fucking great matchup.
Yeah.
This Vikings team who we did not expect necessarily to get off to this hot of a start. And a Texans team who coming off a great season last year, 2 solid wins this season. Joe Mixon is not playing, which I think that offense looks a little bit differently once Joe Mixon is not in it, as we saw last week against the Chicago Bears. Oh man, this is tough, but I'm picking the road favorite in the Houston Texans to go up to Minnesota.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a great game, though.
This is my upset pick of the week. I'm going to take the Vikings at home.
Yeah. I don't think that's no
Joe Mixon.
I don't think that's
it's not a big upset, but I think this is going to be the upset pick of the week right here. It's not really an upset, but I believe the Vikings are going to win.
I hate this game because the Texans without Joe Mixon, Vikings, Justin Jefferson is still banged up. They're still without TJ Hawkinson. Aaron Jones, I think Aaron Jones could potentially have a very big game today. I hate this game. I really do. But I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Somebody in chat says the Texans have never beat the Vikings in Minnesota.
Well, considering the Texans have only been around for 20 years and they're in the AFC and they've probably only played the Vikings 5 times in history, that wouldn't really surprise me. But yeah. We also had that fucking stat about San Francisco not ever beating the Vikings at home since 93. That turned out to be
true.
Yeah.
But at least they're in the same fucking conference and play fairly often.
Yeah.
Eagles, Saints. This could be I don't want to say make or break because it's so early on, but with the collapse we saw last Monday night of the Philadelphia Eagles, letting Kirk Cousins roll right down the field and win that game when it felt like it was away, when the Eagles already felt like they were fucking celebrating. ESPN was already celebrating the Eagles' victory because it was just an Eagles shill show the entire fucking night with Jason Kelce there in the broadcast booth. This is a big fucking game for the Eagles at home against the Saints, and the Saints have looked like the fucking 2000 Rams. Right, that's how the Saints have looked the first two games.
The Saints have overachieved so far. They surprised people.
They have, and I don't think they're going to score 40 points every game. Obviously,
no.
But for me, I'm not a believer in the Eagles. Not a believer in Jalen Hurts.
Me neither.
But I'm quickly becoming a Derek Carr believer. Give me the Saints at home.
I'm gonna take the Eagles.
Oof. Listen. If Jalen Hurts plays great and he's not making mistakes and he's completing passes, you can still count on somebody on the Eagles to fuck it up, and that's Nick Sirianni. I'm taking the Saints at home, and I think that they cover that 2.5 points.
I hate Nick Sirianni with a fucking passion. I fucking hate his guts. I can handle cocky players. This kind of players roll sometimes. I fucking hate Nick Sirianni. He's such a fucking tool.
I do believe what the Saints did to the Cowboys was definitely a fluke, because we see the Cowboys every year. They have this one horrific loss, and that was last week. The Saints are not as good as they played last week.
We'll see.
Now, this matchup which is probably going to go by very quickly because I think it's all going to be runs. But Chargers at Steelers. This is a big game. 2-2-0 teams. The Steelers, I would not say, have won impressively, obviously, with what we've witnessed. But Justin Fields is 2-0. That's the only number that matters. If they win this game, it's going to be almost impossible for Russell Wilson to see the field before they actually start losing games, whenever he does get healthy. Now, this is a new team for the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, and already you can feel like the Jim Harbaugh attitude, the way that they're fucking running the ball. Justin Herbert is injured. He does have that high ankle sprain, but he will play. I expect to see a lot of runs out of fucking Dobbins from the Chargers, and I am going to take the upset. Chargers in Pittsburgh walk away with the victory over and hand Justin Fields his first loss of the year.
I said this last week with Pittsburgh. I don't know how the fuck Pittsburgh is favored in this game. I give me the Chargers all day, and the Chargers are going to cover that 2.5 points.
We could actually have another. Remember last year, the Steelers still had a winning record, and nobody knew how. Yeah, it's just a well-run franchise, man. I mean, they've probably been, for the past 40, 50 years, the best-run franchise overall. And Mike Tomlin is a really, really good coach. I'm going to take the Steelers barely in this game. Barely.
Yeah,
probably a field goal.
Like, the Steelers are going to fucking run the ball a lot. Justin Fields is going to have, 15 to 18 pass attempts in the game. If I'm the fucking Chargers, I don't want to let an injured, hobbled fucking Herbert sit back there for 3 or 4 seconds with fucking TJ Watt on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
I would run a lot of J.K. Dobbins away from TJ Watt. And I think that's a lot of the strategy you're going to see for them. They're going to pick and choose the times that they pass as well. There's going to be a ton of running in this game. That's why the fucking total in this game is probably the lowest total in terms of over-under of the week, because people expect there to be probably not a ton of possessions for each team. And then they're both focused on possessing that ball, draining the clock.
Yeah.
That's what I think we're going to see.
Yeah.
Broncos at the Buccaneers. I mean, to me, this is probably one of the easier picks of the week. I think Tampa Bay's been very impressive the first couple weeks, especially going up to Detroit and winning at Ford Field the way that they did it. Now they're back at home. I'm not impressed with the Broncos. I'm not impressed with Bo Nix. And I think that the Buccaneers are going to handle this game.
Me too.
I agree.
Me too. I like the Bucks -5. And I think they cover that.
They cover that.
Oh, that was a fucking quick one. How have you felt about Bo Nix? Bo Nix has been your guy, Beardo. You've liked Bo Nix like coming into the season. How do you feel about him right now?
I liked him in the preseason, but the preseason is a completely different game almost. Bo Nix was promising during the preseason. I don't think he's thrown a passing touchdown yet this season. I think he's got one rushing touchdown. That offense has zero identity. They don't know who the fuck they are. The defense, whatever, you can say whatever about Denver's defense, but their offense, they have absolutely zero identity. The Buccaneers know exactly who they are. Baker is balling out right now. He's spreading the rock around. He's got so many fucking weapons. I love the Buccaneers in this game. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to cover.
Yeah, with some of these other injuries to these teams in the NFC, it's only been 2 games, but the Bucs sitting there at 2-0, people are looking at them like, Bucs, Saints, look at these NFC South teams. Like, we could be before the season. I don't think anyone would have picked those two as potential NFC winners, right? Now we're looking at Detroit struggles a little bit. 49ers are injured as fuck. If anyone thought the Rams were going to be healthy this season, that has not happened. Things have quickly changed. Panthers, Raiders.
Oh, God.
Now, I think that if Bryce Young is still starting for them, I think this spread is somewhere in the 10, 11 point range. Now that Andy Dalton's back there, I think people rightfully think that they've got a better chance of winning. And I think they do. But I do think that the Raiders are going to. I don't know if the Raiders are going to dominate, but the Raiders are going to play well. Gardner Minshew might make a mistake here or there. Brock Bowers has been playing out of his mind for them at tight end. And I think the Raiders walk away with this win in Vegas.
Yeah, they're definitely covering that spread. I can see this still being like a 2-score game, 10-point win, I think. But the Raiders are going to win. The Panthers stink, man. They just stink.
Panthers are horrible. I think Andy Dalton does make this offense look a little bit better, but I love the way the Raiders have been playing football this year. I really like Gardner Minshew. Brock Bowers is a fucking beast. I actually do like the Raiders to win comfortably today against the Panthers. I'm going to lay the points with the Raiders today.
Now, this game, it's fucking kind of tough to know what's going to happen here.
Hate this game.
Like Dolphins, Seahawks, whenever you have a quarterback that you don't really know what you have, it's a difficult game if you're looking at actually putting any money on it anywhere. But Dolphins at Seahawks. Dolphins obviously still have a ton of weapons on that team, but Tua is not playing.
Yeah.
Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson is the guy. Who knows for how long. They did sign fucking whoever the Ravens backup has been for the past couple years.
Tyler Huntley.
They signed him. I don't think he's going to see the field unless it's an implosion, right, from Skylar Thompson. Who knows how long Tua is going to be out? 4 more weeks at least at the very minimum.
So I've seen a report that he's traveling with the team today.
I'm sure he is. Fucking there for moral support and to pray with him. And
he's
everything.
out 4 games.
Congratulations. But yeah, he's on IR. So I mean, he's
right.
He's out. Like he has no chance of playing in the near future. But the Seahawks, they've won some close games, but Geno Smith has played really well. Obviously, they lost their number 1 back, but I do think that the Seahawks are going to walk away with a victory. But whenever you throw an unknown in there at quarterback, it's kind of interesting to know. I think A-Chain's going to get a ton of fucking touches today. Yeah. I think he's going to get a ton of touches, a ton of passes his way as well. So, but I'm taking the Seahawks in the game.
I hate this game. I hate it so much. This is like a 7-3 final score. I absolutely fucking hate this game. The Seahawks. Listen, Geno Smith. He's been struggling a little bit this year. I'm gonna take the Seahawks. And I think the Seahawks will probably cover that 4 points, but this is going to be an ugly fucking game.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be the Seahawks. It'll probably end up being like 14-10. Not an interesting game. I'm not even going to watch this game, to tell you the truth. Actually, the Cowboys are going to be coming on anyway.
Yeah, you're going to be watching this game.
Yeah.
You're going to be watching this game. Both of these teams coming off bad losses. The Ravens let that game slip away from them last week. and now find themselves at 0-2, and the Cowboys got embarrassed in their own stadium. It had been a while since the Cowboys had lost at home, period.
They've been really good at home.
They've been very good at home. And so now you've got two teams that desperately need to make a statement coming off the starts of these seasons. And this is a tough game, man. Ravens favored by 1. I have so much respect for Harbaugh as a coach that it's tough for me to believe that they could start 0-3. But with that being said, I do feel like the Cowboys are going to respond to the shellacking they got, and it's at home. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this game at home, even though it's technically an upset at home. I'm going to take the Cowboys at AT&T, and I think the Ravens get off to an 0-3 start.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys too, man, because that loss last week was just so embarrassing. It's like the Cowboys didn't even practice all week at all. Defense didn't show up. Offense didn't show up. They're going to show up today. It'll probably be like a 20-16 game, something like that. But I think the Cowboys are going to respond. If they don't, fire Mike McCarthy fast.
Well, if you think the Cowboys didn't practice last week, then I'm going to go ahead and say that's 2 straight weeks that the Cowboys not practicing, because I'm going to take the Ravens. Ravens in Dallas. I think Isaiah Likely scores an anytime touchdown today. Lamar Jackson's. I think the Ravens get it together.
Okay.
I think the Cowboys are pretenders.
Well, we know that. I've been saying that myself, but I still believe they're going to win 12 games, but they're frauds.
I have not been impressed with Lamar this season, coming off that MVP year. I think that he missed some big opportunities in that Chiefs game. I think they should have walked away with a win against the Chiefs, and he didn't convert. Mm-hmm. And I think they took their foot off the gas in that Raiders game, and I thought Lamar, especially in the second half, looked disengaged almost at times. And this man just got fucking paid. You just got paid. He got paid a lot of money last year. So I don't know. I have a feeling, as much as I respect Harbaugh, I don't respect Jackson a ton, but I respect Harbaugh as a coach. I think that they're going to get off to an 0-3 start, and I'm picking the Cowboys against maybe my better judgment. Because it's not like I'm a Cowboys fan or anything, but I think they win at home. Yeah. At home. I don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row at home. This game, fuck, man. 49ers at Rams. Yep. 49ers are injured. The Rams are injured. Both teams coming off disappointing losses last week. I got to go with San Francisco because I think they've still got a better team despite some of these injuries, despite the fact that their top 3 offensive weapons are gone.
Yeah. That's too many points, though, for me. 6.5.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But, we just saw the fucking Cardinals just obliterate the fucking Rams. The Rams are brutally injured. We're talking about, yes, their top 2 receivers gone, but also like 3 or 4 of their offensive linemen are out. Like they are brutally dealing with injuries right now. And I think the 49ers, I don't think they're going to look impressive, but I do think that they still have more weapons available and the line available to protect Brock Purdy. And I think they are going to come away with a victory.
Yeah, I think they're going to win, but I think they're not going to cover. They can actually win by 6, I would say. 2 field goals. They're still going to win. Lions aren't, not the Lions. The Rams aren't very good either.
Yeah, I like the 49ers to win this one. I think the Rams will cover, but I like the 49ers. You still got Ayuk. You still got Mason back there. They got some guys that can make some plays. The Rams do not. So I like the 49ers to go into LA and win.
I would not be surprised if we start hearing trade rumors surrounding Matthew Stafford this year. Because this is a guy who's old. This is now a team being decimated the way that they have with the start that they're getting off to. I do think they're going to be 0-3, and Matthew Stafford's fucking 40 or something. I would not be surprised if the Rams were ready to get kind of like implode it, because this is kind of their all-in year, right? Hey, we think we're finally fucking healthy. We think we can compete again, and immediately everyone gets injured. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Stafford is going to want to sit around just to go fucking 5-12, and run it back. So I wouldn't be surprised if we've already had a couple quarterback injuries, obviously. I did hear some stuff, people talking about that in Miami. Would you call about Matthew Stafford? Get Matthew Stafford in Miami if you think Tua is going to be out for an extended period of time. I don't know. I feel bad for Stafford, though.
Also, with this game right here, 49ers fans travel really well to LA. This might be a home game for the 49ers.
Yep.
Lions and Cardinals.
Very interesting game.
Yeah.
Weird game to know how to feel about. The Lions, I don't think, have looked particularly impressive. They did win that game against the Rams at Ford Field, barely in overtime. But now seeing the injuries the Rams sustained during that game and the way they looked against the Cardinals, how impressive does that win feel now? And then losing to the Buccaneers as well. Jared Goff, I think, threw 2 picks and no touchdowns for like the first time in like years and years for Jared Goff. This is a big game for the Lions. They need to get back on track.
They need to win. They need to
against
win.
a Cardinals team who has, for 3 out of 4 halves, have looked very impressive this year. It's a tough game, but I think that the Lions do get it together. And I think the Lions go into Arizona and win, but I think it's a fucking tough game. I think there's going to be potentially a lot of points scored.
I am a lot more impressed with the Cardinals this year than the Lions, and I had a lot riding on the Lions. They were my NFC Super Bowl pick, but the Cardinals
still are for me.
The Cardinals, if they get out early and if they jump on the Lions aren't built to come back. The Lions are built to stay in close games. If the Cardinals jump on them early and go up 2 scores, it's going to be tough for the Lions to come back. I'm really impressed with this Cardinals offense right now. They got a lot of pieces. I'm not huge on Kyler Murray, but I like James Conner. Marvin Harrison Jr. played well last week. Although he only had 4 receptions, he only needed 4 receptions. So I like the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison caught a lot of shit after that first game, especially the way he was running some of his routes. It looked like he was a little pedestrian out there. I think he fucking heard that, and I think they made it a focus to get him the ball quick and early. And he fucking, you said, he only needed a couple to put the game away. And that's exactly what happened in that first quarter. Go ahead, John.
I'm roll with the Lions, man. This is my Super Bowl pick too. Yeah, they haven't been very, very impressive, but man, they got to get it together, man. They got to get it together. I believe this is the week that they're going to just start getting it together. My other Super Bowl pick, we'll go over them later on, then because they're playing Monday night. 2 Monday night games. I hate that.
I hate that shit too. But the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Falcons. Falcons coming off a big come from behind victory. Kirk Cousins marches down the field in less than a minute and just fucking tears the heart out of Philadelphia Eagles fans, which I love that. But a home game for the Falcons. The Chiefs have not looked dominant at all this year. Granted, they did play the Ravens and the Bengals, but won both of those games. No Pacheco. So we'll see how they end up looking. I got the Chiefs. I can't bet against the Chiefs. I can't pick against the Chiefs until they give me a reason not to, I suppose. So I am taking the Chiefs in Atlanta, but I think it's a close game. And I think that Atlanta Falcons fans, despite being disappointed after that game 1, I think you're going to continue to see this offense connect and flourish with Kirk Cousins.
The Chiefs offense, man, Isaiah Pacheco, man, that guy's a gamer. He is a gamer, man. It seems like when he gets going, they kind of get going. I know Patrick Mahomes is great, but Isaiah Pacheco, man, he makes plays. They don't have him. I'm a bit the upset here. I'm going to go with the Falcons barely at home. Barely.
I think the line is set dead right here. I think 3 points for the Chiefs. This is going to be a very close game. I'm really liking what I'm seeing with Atlanta's offense with Kirk Cousins. They're finally he looked like a freaking surgeon in that final 2-minute drill against Philadelphia last week. And the Chiefs without Pacheco, they're not going to, the Bengals kept it really close. The Bengals almost had that game until Burrow fumbled that ball. The scoop and score. The scoop and score.
Play too.
Yeah, the final play with the pass interference. I like the Chiefs to win this by a field goal with time expiring. They kick a field goal, Butker nails a field goal, and that's how the Chiefs are going to win this game.
Harrison Butker earning his money this year, isn't he?
Yep. I love Harrison Butker.
Yeah, man, he's a great kicker.
Oh, yeah. And then, yes, 2 Monday night games, which I don't hate the idea of 2 Monday night games. What I hate is them being on at the same time.
They overlap.
I hate them being on at the same time. But that's what's happening. Jags Bills at 7:30 at Buffalo. I got to take the Bills in this game. Jacksonville, even though I expected a little more out of Jacksonville this season than we've gotten. Not impressed, I suppose, with last week's performance. First week, I think they should have won that game. Absolutely. But I got to take the Bills, man. Doesn't matter if Stephon Diggs goes somewhere else. Fucking Bills still rocking and rolling.
Yep. Bills are going to win this game. I'm rolling with them as well.
I'm going to go with the upset here. I like the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence does not like to fucking lose. He was super pissed off last week losing to the Browns. I like Doug Peterson. Josh Allen, he's been winning games pretty much by himself or relying on his defense. Tua threw 3 picks and a pick 6 last week, and then they had to finish the game off with Skylar Thompson. Okay, I'm not super impressed with the Bills this year. The Jaguars, I think the Jaguars are pissed off. I think they're hungry. They want their first win. This is a game where you can see the Jaguars going to Buffalo and upset them. I think I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is a big year for Trevor Lawrence. A big year for him after getting paid and stuff like this. If the Jags continue down this path, you're going to start to see a lot of people doing those like face morphing things of Trevor Lawrence turning into Mac Jones, right? And now the fact they're on the same team, that might be even funnier. But and then the late Monday night game, which is only 45 minutes later, is Commanders Bengals. The Bengals off to an 0-2 start. Not the first time for them. That happens fairly often.
Yeah.
But they're not showing any respect for Jaden Daniels and those Commanders. 7.5-point spread. I am taking the Bengals to win this game. But
yes.
I think this is finally going to be interesting for me, more so than because I think the result is going to be the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win. But I do think that with the Commanders potentially getting behind, maybe even by 2 scores in this game, I want to see Jaden Daniels open it up a little bit. No more of this, hey, one read, then run stuff. I want to see Jaden Daniels open it up a little bit and maybe start to pass the ball and throw the ball around, take a few more risks, because I think potentially if they can get him comfortable with doing that and not just, hey, let me not make any mistakes, they could have something there with Jaden Daniels. They really could. And this might be the first time we get to see that if they get down and he's kind of forced into that situation.
Another team. Sorry, John. Go for it.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say.
Another team that hates to fucking lose is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes. Joe Burrow hates fucking losing. And you saw he was super pissed last week with that loss to Kansas City.
That was a heartbreaker.
Oh, man. And the Redskins are the Redskins, man. I think the Bengals win this one big. I think they steamroll the Redskins. 2-score
game, Bengals by 14 points in this game. This is their coming out party. This is my Super Bowl pick right here. And now the season starts for the Bengals.
Yep, I like the Bengals to win big.
Hell yeah. All right, thank you guys. Those are the picks for the week. We'll see how we did we'll see how we did tomorrow when me and Beardo do Monday evening quarterback, but we'll see what the stand-ins are by next week. Let's get through a couple of these chats and member messages. Mr. Manfred Jensen gifts 20 Sports Wars memberships. Thank you, Mr. Manfred Jensen We appreciate that. Mick Cucker Nuggets for 10. Hey guys, happy football Sunday. How many crappy games do you give Caleb Williams till he breaks and cries on camera? I think he learned his lesson in college, and I don't think we ever see that happen again. I don't think we ever see that happen again. But I do think last week was, I know a lot of the memes coming out of last week, certainly he got crushed, but to take the punishment that he took back there, especially in the second half of that game with some of those shots he took and fucking get back up, I was just happy to see him not fucking sit down and fucking pretend like he's injured and shit like that. But we'll see what happens against the Colts this year or this week. Zeke the Wise, remember for 3 months, Texans beat the Vikings for the first time in franchise history. There you go. Mr. Manfred Jensen also becomes a member. Caleb Kleenex will lose again, says Ken Hagen. That's what I picked. So, Rob Cortez for 199. Still you doubt winter is coming. Go Pack, go. Imagine bragging about Malik Willis's performance against fucking the dog shit Colts in Lambeau. A Money Wilson, Bucks coach, call Washington the Redskins. Well, he did like
Todd Bowles played for the Redskins. He said that they'll always be the Redskins to him, is what he said.
Yeah, well, I think that was he accidentally said that in like a press conference or something, and it became a fucking story.
Yeah.
Right.
But trust me, nobody likes being called the Commanders, even the players.
Yeah, why would they? Why would they? The bots are out in full force today, guys. They really want you to watch the NFL, so now is your opportunity. 2 minutes till kickoff. Thanks for joining us here. Beardo, you got anything going on this week?
No, just watching football, and then we got Monday evening quarterback tomorrow night, and then just the normal G&G schedule.
There you go. John Matrix from Black and White Sports. What do you guys got going on?
Same old, man. Watching football. Cowboys come on at 3, so it may be late before I get another video out.
There you go. Well, if you want to watch the games, enjoy them. And again, go to Prize Picks. Download that Prize Picks app. Use code GG to get $50 free when you play 5. And hopefully it pays off for you guys. We will talk to you later. Peace.